So yeah, listen.
Welcome back, Mentally Morbid listeners. It's episode, and we've got
episode
Annie here.
And Kayla and
Kinsey.
And Kinsey has something very important to say.
Right, because
as
I
always.
was supposed to wait. But listen, Brad Mondo, like, he's got good videos.
Oh man. Yeah, for sure.
Like when he comments on people doing
me.
He what?
In 2020.
He
saved me in 2020.
Oh, COVID.
He taught everybody how to cut their own hair while we were all in quarantine.
I, again, can't cut in a straight line, so that would never be me. But I find his commentary great, and I find his personality great. So I really enjoy the videos where people send him and he says what they did wrong. I like this.
I would like to watch him and then watch the man who does the makeup. The gay man who does the makeup.
That doesn't.
I don't remember his
name.
Does
narrow it down.
He's a twin, for one thing. I'm gonna Google it. He's very reserved.
Yeah, it was like James Jeffrey.
Oh.
Yeah, Jeffree Star, James Charles.
A twin.
I saw him a lot on YouTube. Like he's not like huge, but big enough that I showed you his face, you'd probably know him, but I don't know if you know his name. But he has a twin. Let me see. I don't know. I feel like I'm stereotyping just Googling gay man makeup twin. James and Robert Welsh. There we go.
Never heard.
Okay, well, Google knew what I was trying to do. Yeah, I feel like you would have. Let's see. Will it do it? Yeah, look at that.
Oh, no, never seen that man.
Well, okay, I liked him because you have Brad Mondo, who's very, like, over the top, and then you have these guys who are, like, more reserved and softer spoken.
Anyway, Kinsey, your haircut.
My haircut?
I thought you were going to go into a story. You love watching people do bad haircuts.
But that was her. That was the thought. That was it.
No,
that was complete.
yeah, I'm a big fan of when people just do too much. Like they start with like, I'm going to cut an inch off. And then it turns into like a wolf cut. And
you like the fail or the fail haircut
so fun.
video.
Or like they bleach their hair and they wash it and they're like, it's still orange. And they put more bleach on it and he like freaks out. He's like, oh no. And then the hair falls out.
Oh, I've seen so many TikToks of people just actually, like whenever they go and wash their hair, they've bleached it so much that like they'll run their hands through it and it's just falling out and they're like freaking out and I'm like, you dumbass.
Right. So I don't know if you guys have you guys started the new season of Too Hot to Handle? Okay, you don't have to. So far, not that.
You asked that like it's on our list.
You asked that like I finished the first season.
You watch a lot of other shows, so I don't know. You could be.
I'll probably watch it. I'll watch it when my other shows run out.
I don't care.
I lost my rights to Netflix. So
right. So far, not that great, but I would like for you guys to look at the cast photos because there is one girl, and her hair is the color of bleached straw, but her eyebrows are the color of my hair, and I'm just like, who? It's so bleached. It is so bleached.
But you know, what I appreciate about these people who do this, is it keeps me from doing it. Because anytime that I think to myself, man, I wish my hair was lighter, but gosh, I don't feel like going or feel like paying for it. I remember the horror videos of them pulling their hair out clump by clump. And I'm like, you know what? I love my natural hair.
Okay, listen, I'm going to say something that's not helpful for this, but I actually used to bleach my hair all the time and nothing bad happened. No, I cannot cut my...
I didn't say I haven't done it. But I wouldn't keep doing it. I'm just saying. Tempting fate.
I'm just saying. If you read the instructions on the box and actually follow said instructions on the box, your hair typically doesn't fall out.
Okay. I hate everything about that.
Don't read the instructions. Just fucking put it on.
I don't think I've ever read the entire instructions on anything.
I can't relate.
Listen, when it comes to my hair falling out, I read all the instructions.
I went to the dollar store yesterday because I needed one ingredient and I did not want to go all the way to the store to get one ingredient. I needed red white wine vinegar.
Yeah.
Because I was going to make my homemade Greek dressing. I had to focus so hard to look at all the bottles to actually see if it was there or not. And I thought to myself, like, it really shouldn't be this hard just to look at things one by one. But I'm literally jumping around like shelf to shelf. And I'm like, just look at it in a row. Just read each bottle. So instructions don't work.
Listen. I told you guys about the girl look, right?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
what?
I did?
Yeah.
DJ does boy looks.
Yeah.
Where he just glances at things and says, I can't find it. And then I say, did you do a girl look? That's our new thing. Because I saw it on TikTok. Some Australians were doing something about doing a girl look. And I was like, do a girl look and then I'll help you. And then he'll do a girl look and he'll find it every time. So yeah.
Be more like DJ.
You gotta do a girl look, Annie.
I usually can. Okay, well, first of all, it wasn't there. They don't have it. It's
help.
not that I struggle to find the thing. It's just I struggle to find the thing in an orderly fashion. There's no organization to how I look. But I looked for like 5 minutes. I stood there the whole time.
Have you ever done the thing where you can't find something, but you know it's there? So you take each object and you're like, this is not a lighter. And then you
have
put
to
it down.
think about it.
And then you
gotta
look at the
picture
next
it.
thing and you're like, this is not
It's the frontal lobe.
And then you take the next thing.
No.
Not a lighter.
I have actually never done that.
Really?
No.
Because it helps me.
Oh, but listen, that lighter right there, Gus bought me one of those because I asked him to go to the store and buy a lighter.
Oh.
And I love it. It's only one thing, Annie. It's just like...
For anyone who can't see what we're talking about, there's a lighter that I got from Publix, and it doesn't have the thumb clicky thing. You just squeeze it together.
No thumb clicky, just one.
What, Annie?
I will never be unimpressed with our ability to go from topic to topic.
What do you mean?
Listen, all I'm saying is Gus bought me a lighter, and
hair, fire, same thing.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, can you pick me up a lighter? So he goes to the gas station and gets me a fucking cigarette lighter. And I was like, no, I need long lighter for candles. And he was like, why can't you just use this one? And I was like, what happens when the candles start to burn down and I can't get my hands in there? And he was like, it would be fine. Next day he shows up with that lighter. And I was like, thank you. And then I used it and I was like, we're never going back to regular lighters.
You know, when you're training dogs, you're supposed to do like at least one good boy for every 5 bad boys.
Listen.
I
got 2 lighters.
I want to make sure you're aware.
Copper gets lots of good boys.
I feel like Copper gets more good boys than Gus gets more good than you. You got me. You feel me.
Yep.
You know where we're going with this.
Gus actually told Ashley at one point in time he has realized that he can't be too nice to me either because I don't respond well to positivity or praise.
Oh, that's healthy.
He's like, she gets weird about it, so I just don't say it. Okay.
Kenzie, you're so pretty. She just does a dumb smile.
Thank you.
I'm so excited because Gus is coming to my house in a couple of weeks, and I'm really concerned for Gus.
Not Kenzie though, just Gus.
In a couple weeks.
It's 10 days from now. It's not 1 week.
A week and a half.
Let my brain have time.
Let my brain.
That's a couple of weeks.
It's at least 2 weeks.
Speaking of, listen.
Oh, here we go.
Here's a thought.
Hair, lighter.
Light it on fire.
If you do your laundry every other day.
Go.
I had this thought the other day, and my brain hurt because of it. I could not reason it. I feel like it's math? So simple, but it's not math. It's not even that interesting. You'll understand.
Go.
My brain got so stuck on it for absolutely no reason. I was like, okay, like if I wonder if I should do like a scheduled cleaning, because like I do pretty well like how things are now because my schedule's not as bad. But like, what if I had a scheduled cleaning? Would that just like make it better? I wouldn't follow it. But anyways, and I'm like, okay, you could do like laundry like every other day. That's like a load every other day. And then I'm like, so then are you doing laundry every 2 days? Is it every 2 days? Every other day? But it's like not a full 2 days.
I hate
so
that.
is that every
No,
2 days?
I hate it. Oh,
right. It doesn't fit. It's not every 1 day, but it's also not every 2 days.
It's every other.
It is closer to every 48 hours than every 2 days. I don't like every 2 days.
No, it doesn't fit. And I was like, why is it somewhere in the middle?
Also,
I'm having some psychosomatic symptoms right now.
That's a shit ton of laundry. You and Kevin need to stop working out. If you only wore one outfit a day, you would not.
First of all, that was a very hypothetical thing. Okay. I got stuck on it. Kind of like the lava cake.
No. Okay.
Oh my God. That was hilarious. Let me tell.
I'm not done with the laundry. Wait. I'm not done with the laundry.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh. I understand what you're saying. I was just gonna say I hate doing giant loads of laundry because I hate putting it away. It's not the laundry that I hate doing, but I absolutely would throw all my clothes in the backyard and just let them rot there until I need them. But I tried to do laundry more often, so I only had like 10 clothes to put away instead of 45. Turns out I'm not good at it anyway. So
we've been doing really good with it, one basket at a time. Our most is going to be 2. After that, it's going to get overwhelming and it's going to go into the big basket and it's going to sit there until we have to do it because somebody's coming to our house.
I've seen the big basket. I've actually seen Kevin hide the big basket in another room.
Yes, that's right. You hide the big basket if you don't do the big basket.
No, listen, that's where I got fucked up.
You don't show your laundry.
This is where this is where I got fucked up, right? So I was telling them, listeners, I was telling Annie and Kayla the other day, I had a really shitty Monday, but it started off with I woke up on Monday, I start washing my face, brushing my teeth, all that to get ready for work, and all of my animals are huddled around my pile of clean laundry, and I'm like, that can't be a good sign.
Oh,
and I go in.
It's on the clothing.
I forgot that's how your day started off.
My beautiful cat that I love, my Princess Angel Cricket, sat on top of my desk, which had brand new artwork I had just bought that was watercolored. 2 pieces of watercolor artwork of FFSU that I wanted to hang in I hadn't hung up yet, but they were on the desk. Sat on top of the desk next to the artwork and projectile vomited across the artwork and all over the pile of clean clothes on the floor. And I was like, and then they were all eating it. This is not fair. I washed clothes.
I didn't know that was an omen, but now looking back, it was an omen.
It was an omen. I should have just quit that. I had a shitty day.
And that was the best part of your day.
So everything bad happened on Monday, which is, sometimes that happens.
Yesterday. For everyone who doesn't know what day it is.
But yeah, I definitely should have taken that as a sign and been like, okay, we stay home today.
I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah. So that sucked, but that's what you get because that's what I do. And today I put the clean laundry away. It's got to be a process, right? You got to wash it, then put it in a space. Then the next day you put it away.
That's usually a good thing. Yeah.
Listen, I've actually noticed I do a lot better with tasks I hate doing whenever I have an audiobook to listen to.
Yeah. I have started carrying my computer around so I can have Amazing Race playing in the background just because it feels more enjoyable. Not that I'm really watching, not that I really have to watch. It's a fucking race.
It's just on.
But I'm like, I'm doing something I enjoy, so I can clean the dishes.
Yeah. That's
why I feel like you should bond with an elderly woman because y'all would watch the same television shows.
Me and my stepmom do watch all the same television shows. Me and my stepmom, Nicole, we are on the exact same wavelength for TV. I do have an update. I have decided it is probably in my best interest to audition for Amazing Race rather than Survivor. So we're pivoting.
Did you also think she was going to quit? I have an update. I'm not going to be a part of this podcast anymore.
No, my brain wasn't there. I was thinking of what I wanted to say. I wanted to say, remember when we all went on girls' trip and there was the unknown wet?
Yes.
The unknown.
Yeah.
What?
Wet. What's it called? Shower.
Bath mat.
Rug,
bath mat.
Whatever. Bath mat.
Bath mat.
So at that Airbnb, they had a swivel TV. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I do.
It had a swivel mount.
Those are nice.
And then I bought myself one so that I can swivel my TV so I can do dishes.
So fucking worth it.
So nice.
So worth it.
Oh, and I bought a second one for DJ's room just recently, and I just put it up a couple days ago.
Literally so worth it.
Very nice.
Honestly, just to have like, even if it's like a show you've seen 100 times, just to have it on makes those tasks just feel more enjoyable to me.
I actually really enjoy editing our episodes whenever I'm doing stuff like that because I'm multitasking and I feel very productive. And I enjoy, oh God, just close your ears. I actually enjoy the podcast. It's really nice to listen to. It's funny. I think we're funny. So I would listen even though I am in it.
You know what I'm hearing, Anna?
Sometimes.
No.
A compliment?
Hurts.
I'm funny.
I don't doubt that. Everybody, I am the talent. I'm the talent. You know what's funny? I use Valley Girl voice to define you when really I should just shriek from the bottom of my lung.
Oh God.
There you go. Perfect. God, that's exactly what I would do if I could.
Just remember, I have to lower your volume every time I edit, and I'm sure everybody who's driving while listening, they're probably driving off the road.
They choose to listen. Exactly. They choose to listen. There's a disclaimer.
I don't have a podcast voice.
We're not reliable.
I don't really know why they listen. I have a more like CSI Miami voice than a podcast voice. You know, the girl who's getting murdered, the people on the sidelines who see the murder.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense. I was thinking. Never mind.
All I know is Law and Order, so I was like, da-da. Then I heard the guy's voice come on.
Okay, listen. So I only get on TikTok to post our TikToks because it is just not something.
Well, you have, just so you know, you probably have 400 TikToks from both me and Annie.
No, I have more than that. I have at least 1,000. At some point, I'll watch them. Probably Christmas break.
You won't.
But so I pretty much just get on to post, but I will find myself like watching 5 or 6 and then I get bored and I moved on with my life. But somehow me and Kayla's joint algorithm, because Kayla also used the TikTok at first, right? So I feel like it's both of us. Somehow it is currently on the people that dance to that song and the people who dance with their cats to that song. And I really enjoy that.
Oh.
I really enjoy that.
You're welcome.
That's the TikTok I can get behind. But even Gus saw it the other day. I pulled it up for like maybe 5 minutes and I was watching them and laughing. And then all of a sudden it took a right turn to like whatever it thinks Kayla's algorithm was. And it got really fucking weird. It got like scary weird.
Oh no.
I don't
know what that's supposed to mean.
It was odd. It was just an odd turn.
Scary weird.
I can't even remember what they were, but it was a weird algorithm.
Hey,
yeah.
Are we done with that topic? Because I have something else I wanted to share.
See,
it depends on what you're about to say if we're done with this topic.
I could be like,
yeah, we're done.
So, I had a client today tell me that ghosts taste like pepperonis.
I love that.
And I want to know what your opinion on that is.
I immediately okay, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a strong passion for very weirdly
for ghosts.
Well, no, you know I love ghosts. I have a strong passion for those little embroidery messages that old ladies make that are like fuck off and stuff. And ghosts taste like pepperoni would be a very great little embroidery message. I would hang that on my wall.
I know you would. Yeah, basically he was eating breakfast with me and he bit his bagel into the shape of a ghost and then he was like, ooh, and I was like,
was this an adult?
No.
I want you to ask yourself what my population is.
Yeah, listen, I'm impressed with, because I'm thinking about how you have to like really carefully bite in order to make it the shape of a ghost.
Oh no,
and I'm just
it was an accident. It was an accident. He saw that it was a ghost, that it was shaped like a ghost, and then he made the sound. And I was like, oh, what is the ghost? I was like, what does the ghost taste like? And he was like, pepperoni. I was like, okay.
This all makes sense. It's adding up.
It was great.
Gosh.
And in my head, I was like, man, that would make a great sticker, just a pepperoni ghost.
There. Just ask him if we can trade.
I am the graphic designer here, so I guess I'll get on that.
Make sure you get the release, though. Ask him to sign over the rights.
Hey, we do have an opening for writing department, though, if anybody wants to take on that.
Right. Ask the 3-year-old if he wants to be the writing department. He's got better content than I do.
I'm sure.
I like it.
Yeah, it was great. It was funny. Mm. I laughed really hard.
Do we want to talk about the...
I think it's great that you like the kids.
Weren't you a play therapist for a second?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
That's not what I said. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a second. For a reason.
Mm-hmm. She was.
The same reason you can't work with kids is the same reason I can't work with adults.
You know what's weird is some people might, because I was talking with Kevin earlier because somebody actually tried to talk to me at the gym, and he was like, great, now tomorrow. Yeah, listen, I was doing a workout, and he paused me, and he was like, hey, what are you working out when you do that? Which, for one thing, I was like, oh, thank you for thinking that I'm competent enough, right? And I was like, well, when I'm doing it correctly, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And Kevin was like, good. Now what you do tomorrow is when you see him, you say hello. And I was like, why are you telling me this? He was like, that's how you make friends. Right. And I was like, Kevin, I'm not jealous of you. I know. Okay. I mean, sometimes I don't know how to talk to people, but it's not appropriately. I know how to talk. I know how to say hello. I just don't want to. Right?
I love that he tried coaching you into making a new boyfriend at the gym.
I love that. And I was like, I love that he thinks you're socially awkward and not just a bitch.
Well, that's what I explained to him. I was like, Kevin, you don't understand. Mm-hmm. I operate on 2 modes. I am either black cat or golden retriever. There's no in between. And if it's not one of my close people, I am black cat. And that's just all there is to it. Prickly porcupine.
You know, what's funny? DJ has also been trying to make me friends.
Is this what
I don't know what's happening in our little alcove of our world.
It's not pathetic.
But DJ will see, he'll come home one day from work. He works at Publix, everyone who doesn't know. He'll come home from work one day and he'll be like, so I saw this couple who's like our age, and like I think you guys would get along, and I think that I would get along with the guy. So like, I don't know. What do you think? And I'm like, let me tell you, I want to sit at home. I want to sit at home with my books and my little candle and my iced coffee and TikTok and like maybe some paint. And then I'll go to sleep, and then I don't have to talk to anyone but you guys every Tuesday.
I want to get a metal detector and put on my headphones and go all over my yard and dig holes.
Uh-huh.
You're not a golden retriever, you're a Dachshund.
So yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't have a sense of humor. I just don't like using it with kids because I'm black cats. Kinsey, I feel like you're very different from this conversation because you are golden retriever. Like, you are the essence of golden retriever. Look at her.
I am. She's like, yeah. I talked to all of my friends at the gym yesterday in a short period. I had like 5 people wave to me. I got to talk to someone about their wedding. Like, I had a great old time. And then I went home and it was great. But I am taking notes.
Sounds terrible. How do you listen to, like, I want to listen to my music.
How often do you have to take them out?
I don't take them out.
Right.
I don't take them out at all. I go to a private gym. They play loud ass music the whole time that everybody likes.
Well, they do at Planet Fitness too. But if you have the headphones on, then you can't talk to people.
I do group classes.
You don't have to talk to people.
I do group.
Yeah, she chooses
classes.
Group.
I talk to a lot.
I would like group classes. I wouldn't mind group classes because I feel like that's the kind of surface level conversation I could have.
Oh,
like that I could do.
I'm going to be honest. I actually prefer the relationships that are I prefer the gym friends because there's like they don't expect much from me. Every once in a while, I get invited to go get dinner or drinks, like every 6 months, and I'm like,
that's when I would move gyms.
Nah, it's happened.
That right
it's happened
there.
Like twice.
If that moment happened, new gym.
But like, I don't like. I ask how they're doing. They ask how I'm doing. I go about my life. No one's texting me. No one needs my anything. You know.
Mm-mm.
But that's
nice.
Gus needs new friends, so I'll take notes that I should go to Publix and point out people that he should be friends. Huh?
What is Gus?
Gus is an introvert, I think. But Gus grew up here, so all of the people that he's friends with, he's been friends with for like his whole fucking life. So we gotta mix it up a little bit.
No,
Annie, I'll need you to tell me if he's a cat or a dog.
Oh,
I'll let you know.
Gus is.
I feel like he's gonna be like a parrot or something.
I feel like Gus is definitely a cat, even though he is the dog man, right? Like he works at dog daycare, but I feel like he is cat.
Is there another animal that might fit somewhere between? Like, what's the between the cat and the dog?
Ferret.
That's
not it.
Does he dig it under the bed? No, there's got to be a between.
A porcupine.
Fish?
Not a fish. That's like a dead animal, basically.
Fish. A pig.
Fish are just fake pets.
A piggy.
What about a donkey?
Oh, a donkey!
That's okay.
This is bad. Okay. Anyway. We'll think about it. Annie, whenever you meet him, you got to help her analyze.
Team ferret.
I'll sit right there with him and try and figure it out. Gus, let's see what you are. Let's have this conversation. See, Gus?
Go ahead. Gus, what animal do you think you are? And he'll be like, dog. And I'll be like, no!
Have you warned him?
Oh, chinchilla. Have I warned him about you or
her basket of laundry?
The giant basket.
Excuse me, there's no basket of laundry because I've been a responsible adult now for like a month.
I put my laundry today too. Air high five.
No, thank you.
What am I warning him about? You, Kevin, the dog,
just
Georgia, the cat.
Well, I feel like he's going to be very well versed for Georgia. I feel like he's going to fit in fine. He seems like a nice guy.
I told him yesterday because Gus
is he gonna cry?
Gus took me and Ashley to get margaritas because he felt bad for me because my day was so bad. I told him, I said, Annie is worried that she's gonna be too mean when you're around, and I said Gus will be fine, and he didn't seem phased. So,
because you said that Ashley and him are mean to each other, but I feel like that's a different animal.
Is he mean back? That's the thing.
They're really
that I need.
They're pretty mean to each other. He's not going to be mean back the first time you guys meet him. I don't know if he's going to speak when you meet him at all. We might have to wait till next trip.
Are you going to tell me if he cries so we can all laugh about it?
I've never seen him cry, so I will definitely tell you and we will definitely laugh about it.
My sister-in-law cried the first time she came to our house. Not our house, like my family's house.
Mallory seems like
because you guys were mean.
She seems sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
not used to
that.
Yeah, she went home and she cried. Well, she went with Tommy and she cried.
And many people cried.
And she still married him. And
I guess it made her feel better.
Had his offspring. Offspring.
Upstream. Live stream.
No,
stream.
There's just, you guys know how it is. Like when you have people who are not used to sarcasm and like a lot of wit. I mean, when I mean a lot of wit, like everything they say is on, like it's going to be judged. Like you say a word by accident and suddenly you're joking about it for 5 fucking minutes.
Listen,
and you don't let it go.
I have refused
I don't know what you mean.
to let this friendship go for almost a decade. Gus is going to have to get with the fucking program.
He'll just cry a few times and he'll grow up. It'll be fine.
I gave him plenty of opportunities to see what he was getting himself into. He refuses to listen to the podcast, so that's his fucking problem.
You know, I will say, if he has survived you, I feel like
we're a breeze. Yeah, if he can get through the Kinsey, he can get through.
In fact, I might be really nice to him because of that.
I am so sorry.
Right.
Just go for a second. I'm gonna hug him.
Annie walks up and she's like, "Are you in danger?"
I'm gonna slip him the number for the abuse hotline for sure.
Blink twice if you need help.
Meanwhile, all he's doing is blinking for 80 minutes.
I see it. A little fruit basket. It's like, what to do when the one you love hurts you. And
oh
no!
Wow.
Kevin's just gonna be sitting back, drinking a beer, not saying anything, trying to ignore the fuck out of everybody.
Kevin's gonna be like, "Come on, Gus, let's just leave. You want to go to Dollar Tree?"
Honestly,
shots?
I could see it.
You need a shot? I need a shot.
Yeah, pretty much. What? Wait, what does he drink?
Oh, he'll drink whatever. We're not picky. Whatever you guys have.
Oh, good.
She didn't ask you, Kins.
Me.
She asked about Gus. It's not all about you.
No, Kinsey, I am very well aware that you will drink whatever I put in front of you. And that is one of the reasons that I love you. That is why when we go out, we are so compatible.
I know. Gus is actually the same way. So it's actually fantastic. Like, we are pretty, like, we're just ready. Like, there's plenty of things I think that he would prefer not to drink, but that's not going to be the shit that you have. He doesn't want, like, when we went on the cruise, there was, like, a champagne bar. That wasn't his vibe. So as long as you're not trying to be too schmoozy, I know you're pretty high class.
I've never been accused of that.
But you give that man a light beer, he's ready to go. Easy peasy.
I'm excited.
Hey, guys.
Oh, no.
Remember that homework I gave you?
I do. It was a lot.
The whole time I sat there, because I can't stand an unanswered question, so the whole time I sat there watching it going, what angle does she have?
She's promoting her podcast. Was that not clear when they said, like, if you want to watch this podcast on every single episode?
Right. Okay, so if you have not listened to the last episode, at the end, I told Annie and Kinsey and the audience to do some homework and watch the Betrayal on Hulu. And you guys both finished it, right?
Mm-hmm. I finished it while I was putting my laundry.
I got like half of number 3. I didn't finish number 3.
Oh, it's okay. It's fine.
You're not missing much on the second half.
I could kind of see where it was going.
No!
Yeah, you'll figure it out at the end. All right. So, in The Betrayal, The Perfect Husband, I'm going to kind of recap what it is, just in case.
You mean I didn't have to watch it?
Right. What was the point?
No.
Also,
because
I'm so offended because Kayla was surprised we did our homework. Like, first of all, Annie and I are nerds, and if you tell us to do something, we're going to do it. Second off, I love TV, so fuck you.
And another thing.
And I told you thrice.
I love when Kayla tells stories.
And one more thing. So, let me talk about my experience with Kayla.
Go for it, Kayla.
I'm done.
So, my resources are decider.com, dynamic.uoregon.edu, healthline.com, Wikipedia, relationalrecovery.com, psychologytoday.com, and health.com.
Honestly, Healthline and Wikipedia should just be our resources for everything moving forward.
I used Psychology Today.
I Googled it, and Wikipedia said yes.
All right. So basically, like I said, I'm going to recap it for everybody who wasn't able to watch or whatever. It's called The Betrayal, The Perfect Husband, and it's an ABC News documentary on Hulu, and it tells the story of a woman named Jenifer Faison?
Yeah.
Faison, and her husband Spence Heron. So basically the overall gist of the story is the whole first episode is this woman explaining how much she's in love with this man named Spence Heron. They meet in college in Georgia, and everyone liked Spence, okay? Literally everybody who knew them as a couple, everybody who was on campus really liked him. He had a lot of positive references. And they fell in love until he graduated from college, and then she basically ended the relationship so that she could experience her senior year of college without being in a relationship.
Which was really cool.
Right.
Power to the people.
Proud of her, honestly. But so she ended up like graduating, and she was a producer for some TV shows like Judge Judy and Extreme Home Makeover. And he went on to marry and have kids, but later got divorced. After all of that, about 20 years after they dated, they found each other on Facebook. And they started messaging each other, and they met up whenever they were both on a trip to New York, and they rekindled their relationship. And they pretty quickly fell back in love, and they later got married. So, after they got married, there was a lot of information that Jenifer found out after the police raided their home, and Spence was arrested for sexual assault of a student. After she went and did some of her own research and some digging from his email address, she found out that he had several accounts that he was using to contact women, and was corresponding with more than 60 women for sex. And she had absolutely no idea. So basically the rest of the story is like, he's in prison. She's trying to make sense of what all of this is. Like who this person actually was behind the husband that she knew. So during the show, there's actually a therapist on there that is a betrayal trauma therapist who I was kind of drawn to because I was interested in what that actually meant. And if I'm not mistaken, that was her betrayal trauma therapist, right?
Right. I found that really interesting.
Wasn't she a psychologist?
Maybe it was a psychologist.
No,
yeah.
There were two different people.
Or there was a psychologist and there was the betrayal trauma therapist.
Mm-hmm. The lady I said I liked, Namdi, I think her first name is. She has like YouTube. She's like YouTube famous because she does a lot of work on personality disorders. And then the more hippie lady was the trauma therapist.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to look more into what betrayal trauma is and how betrayal trauma affects people. And you, as therapists, and I feel like as like a lay person would definitely be able to say that she was pretty obsessed with the story to the point where she did her own digging and she could not get it out of her head. And she made her own podcast about it. And she's still doing research about all of the things that he did.
Not even that, the timeline. She made like literally like in a detail by detail timeline of his affairs and his cheating. That was a lot.
She went hard. Yeah. So, first of all, what is betrayal trauma? In short, betrayal trauma stems from a mistreatment by a caregiver or a trusted person, like an intimate partner. And this can include physical violence, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. It occurs when a person of trust violates someone. Hold on. It occurs when a person's trust is violated by another person or a system that they rely on for survival. And survival can mean lots of different things, which we'll go into later. And of course, not everybody who experiences betrayal is going to experience it the same way. And the way someone responds to betrayal depends on the person, and the details of the experience is a quote from Dr. Fraid. I think her name is Jenifer Faison, who wrote a paper on betrayal. There's a betrayal trauma theory. So this is a theory because it very much is parallel to PTSD. But there is a difference between betrayal and PTSD, and I'll go into that a little bit. So Dr. Fraid said that we do see some common reactions, including anxiety, depression, and disassociation with both of them. So PTSD impacts a lot of survivors and is diagnosed, and treatments don't take into account the particular ways that being abused by someone who was trusted or depended on impacts a survivor, is what another doctor, Dr. Platt.
Say that again.
Although PTSD does impact a lot of survivors, its diagnosis and treatment do not take into account the particular ways that being abused by someone trusted or depended on impacts a survivor. So traditional PTSD results in fear and problems caused by trying to avoid the fear. And betrayal trauma often results in shame and disassociation, as well as problems caused by trying to avoid shame and disassociation. So the PTSD is trying to avoid an external fear, while betrayal trauma is trying to avoid reactions to the trauma, which they both kind of do. But so that's why this is a theory, is because it's kind of parallel to it. Annie, I see you thinking.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny because I have a client who's very similar story. And so I have also looked up the betrayal therapy stuff to kind of see, because I was like, that's actually a cool therapy to kind of get into, because I do see a lot of younger women, and just by nature you get a lot of. So anyways, no, I'm just trying to figure out that statement out, because at first I thought it meant that PTSD just more generally treats trauma, so it doesn't really, you don't have to necessarily account for like the specific way, like what it was, but more of just like it's PTSD, like anything traumatic, whereas betrayal trauma is more centered on like a betrayal, like it's the trauma of that, what you thought you knew versus what was actually happening. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought it meant. So I was just trying to figure that statement out.
I feel like I could send it to you, and you reading it might be able to help later. So there's different kinds of betrayal. There's familial betrayal, institutional betrayal, and cultural. So familial betrayal is a betrayal that occurs within the family and can include childhood physical, emotional, or sexual abuse by a perpetrator that is trusted, but it's not restricted to childhood. And this is where infidelity falls as well, like with an intimate partner violence or other events that can cause betrayal trauma, because it involves a breach of trust between people in an intimate relationship. So that's where betrayal or infidelity, that's where she would fall. Institutional betrayal can happen when an institution harms an individual that has claimed to serve them, which can include hospitals, mental health facilities, the government, police departments, anything that is an Yes, Kenzie?
I have betrayal trauma. The government, they did me wrong at least a few times. So put me down.
All right. Kinsey falls in that one. So those institutions are expected to provide safety for the people that they serve. So this particular article gives the example of if a therapist blames their client for abuse they experienced, they are betraying their client's trust and worsening the effects of the abuse. So it can be pretty subtle. Like it can also like fall in microaggressions, like just the way that someone perceives a comment could be internalized as institutional betrayal. And cultural betrayal is betrayal within culture groups, specifically minority groups. In minority groups, there's a high level of trust associated with the members of the group. And again, they provide protection, a sense of safety. They have a sense of togetherness against social inequality. I kind of lost my train of thought. Never mind. So that's cultural betrayal. Betrayal itself is not a diagnosis. Just so everybody knows, it does not fall within the DSM-5. But it is a way to better understand your process.
Right. That's interesting because I do feel like that entire trauma section on the DSM is really lacking in general. Like it's pretty much just PTSD, and that falls into chronic or acute when you boil it down in simple terms. Like there's not a lot of information there. So I do feel like maybe not necessarily a diagnosis for betrayal, but more information on like what trauma can do would be helpful there. I don't feel like that section is great.
Well, and I don't know if it's like a newer way to look at it or if it's just kind of different people's perspectives. But I remember I read After an Affair, and I had to look who it was, Janice Spring. They refer to it versus it being like extramarital affair or cheating. It's a betrayal. I think it was then that I kind of started using that word from that book. And I think it fits better because it's a more modern way of looking at it, because you have so many, like if you look at polyamorous, it's not like cheating is it's such a difficult thing to define in a simple way. So if you call it a betrayal, it's not really about any certain rules. It's more about you were betrayed. But two, calling it a trauma is also something that's a little bit newer. I don't know if you're really going to get into why it's a trauma versus why it's just cheating or.
Right. I will a little bit. And we can.
Okay, then I'll leave that for later.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that in a minute. So a lot of people who are seeking therapy, which what was her name?
Which one? The therapist or the person?
Jenifer Faison, the person who was betrayed
Faison.
In the show. Yeah, Faison. So some of the symptoms of this trauma are betrayal blindness, difficulty trusting in other relationships, altered definition of love, re-victimization, lowered self-esteem, and other mental health challenges. So betrayal blindness,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to go into it, is when a person consciously or unconsciously ignores signs of betrayal to preserve the relationship. So like I said, the betrayer is part of the victims or the survivors, however someone wants to identify, is their safety. That's their like sense of safety. So sometimes people will start to ignore the betrayal in order to keep their sense of safety and security. So they may start to deny behaviors, make excuses, and even become defensive if questioned about a partner's actions or a parent's actions. So by avoiding the signs of betrayal, they can make the situation worse, and they start to work harder to maintain the relationship. obviously, like, difficulty trusting other relationships. It's going to be very hard for someone to establish new and positive trusting relationships after being betrayed. And a lot of times the victims will find themselves trying to figure out what the actual definition of love is for them. They'll have to start the work to adjust their personal definition of love.
Mm-hmm.
So they may begin to consider things like abuse, infidelity, or other forms of betrayal as a normal part of love, especially if they're starting to betray it and they're trying to talk themselves into denying betrayal. They start to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to work on redefining love. So if this is re-victimization part. If a person's definition of love has been altered to include betrayal, it makes sense that they would be at high risk to be victimized again in the future by either the same or other partners. So that's why you see a lot of people who go back to their partners after being betrayed, or they try to seek the attention again from that same perpetrators because they see betrayal and they have kind of internalized betrayal as part of their definition of love. And of course, it alters your self-esteem. So it can seriously affect your perspective of yourself. Any comments before I move on to the trauma part?
I'm gonna let you finish, and then I'm gonna shut up until then, because we never do let you talk.
No.
All right. So, the way Annie asked, how is it a trauma and not just cheating? So there's a theory, because this is already a theory. There's a way that there's a psychotherapist who explains this as complex trauma. So complex trauma is traumatic stressors that are interpersonal, that are premeditated, planned, and caused by other humans, such as violation or exploitation of another person. So because complex trauma is both relational and repeated, this correlates with the definition of betrayal trauma. So that's why they're calling it a trauma and not just infidelity. So complex trauma is most often associated with children who experience types of relational and repeated violations, but it also can be applied to all of the other betrayal traumas that I listed earlier. There is also a theory about it relating to attachment theory. So they started with applying the concept of betrayal trauma to attachment theory, because attachment comes before betrayal, and the way that your attachment style, which we should probably do an episode on attachment styles. Did we do that?
We've talked about it, but I can hit it next week if it's a good follow-up.
It does, yeah. I feel like we should talk about it at some point. It doesn't have to be next week, but... So attachment...
I got nothing better to do.
So your earliest childhood relationships basically are... Well, it's a lot more complex than that. But your childhood, the way that you're parented and the way that you grow up kind of helps to form your attachment style. And when these bonds are strong and secure, they help move people towards a secure attachment with first their family and then with other people. So if you have an insecure attachment, this often leads to like more complicated relationships in the future. So they're thinking that, like, depending on your attachment style, it can affect the way that you interpret betrayal trauma.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
But I think it could even, and stop me if I'm going too quick into this, but I think it could even damage what has already been created, even if it's secure, even if it's a temporary shift, because the whole theory of attachment is that you build a working model of self and others. And so that if you have a secure attachment, you grow up having kind of, and this is a bit reductive, but it's a positive working model so that you believe other people are trustworthy just as much as you believe that you are capable of being loved. Mm-hmm. And when somebody that you think loves you and is trustworthy then breaks that trust and it feels that they do not love you in the same way, that kind of destroys that working model that you've created. And so it's hard to see the world in that same way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think your attachment style would also have an effect on the aftermath of the betrayal.
Sure.
Too. So
it confirms it a little sometimes, right? Or breaks it.
Right. Very confirmation bias. Yeah.
Yeah. I also feel like people who have different attachment styles might be able to have a little bit more resilience to betrayal as well. Like someone who has a higher self-esteem might be able to bounce back faster, or maybe bounce back a little bit in a more positive way from betrayal, or maybe not internalizing it as trauma. Maybe it would just be betrayal.
You know what I think would be really interesting is to compare. I feel like she had a secure attachment style, Jenifer did, and that was why she didn't try to take him back. I feel like most women who have an insecure or anxious or avoidant attachment style would have a harder time dealing with the betrayal, but also be more likely to end up back in that relationship because they feel like they don't deserve something better.
Yeah, because he did try to get her back from jail, which is amazing.
I feel like that I would hold firm more quickly due to the shame of staying more than feeling that I should move on. Like that, I would really struggle with that because I feel like I'm still working on like my self-esteem. And like, I know that if I look at it from the same perspective, like if it were Kevin, I would want to justify it and try to excuse it and make like, it's not true. And like, I would be so hard pressed to make any excuse to stay, but I wouldn't because of how public it would be. Mm-hmm. And so I think that would have me leaving sooner. But it would be so much more difficult if we're not public. And especially the condition under which, you know.
Right. I feel like
that's an interesting take too, because she has created a following based off of this story. So if she went back after making a podcast and doing all of this research and doing a show, and she went back to him, I feel like you're right. She would probably feel more shame in going back to him publicly than she would have.
It's like an extra layer of protection for yourself.
Right.
It is. I
maybe she did that subconsciously.
And I do wonder what like the difference is, because I feel like there were a lot of layers there, and it definitely is chronic and complex too.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know what the stats are, but I would assume most women would not.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I would say they would not go back to someone that has been arrested for child stuff.
That's the kind of the additive, right? Where it's not just that he's cheated.
Oh, it was so much worse.
Yeah,
than that.
I don't know if I said that earlier. He had been arrested for.
Speaking of,
by the way,
yeah, I think I mentioned it briefly, but like that was a big deal.
I think you mentioned that he went to jail.
Right, but the police raided his home because a student stepped forward and told their parents about him grooming them into having sex with him. And then they found out there were more of them.
Right. He not only was he a cheater, because like I mean,
he was a pedophile.
I feel like a lot of women do take cheaters back. And I feel like a lot of women would have taken him back up until that point. But like,
women are more likely to take them back.
But like the pedophile thing, like I don't know what the stats are on that, but that's pretty much a nail in the coffin right there. Also because like legally, because you know, I've had some experience working with people that have similar things on their records, and I mean legally it would just completely change how she lives her life as well. Like she can't live in certain areas, she can't do certain things with him. Like that's like a completely different level of like moving forward there would be so different than just trying to reconcile from cheating.
It's a social pariah at that point.
Yeah, that's a great word for it. And you know, I think I messaged you guys earlier that episode 3 was really triggering because it is all about her, the kid. And I mean, he was in a relationship with that girl for 3 years. That wasn't a, like, not that you could say a pedophile is a mistake ever, but we can't write that off.
Not a consensual relationship. This wasn't like a relationship. This was he was so manipulative. He was so manipulative and so pushy about it that it was...
There's a lot of pressure.
He literally raped her.
There was a lot of pressure. Yeah, it was not consensual in any sense.
No.
Ever.
But that's why I mentioned that I understand the girls, because I think it's very easy, especially to make it something trivial when we talk about sexualizing young women. When we compare and we go, yeah, but you wouldn't see it the same as a boy. But I think it often is different. And I'm not saying that it always is. And I'm not even saying that most of the time it is. But I think for a lot of women, I can understand when you're young and you're getting that attention and it feels good. And it's not about the sexual attention. It's because somebody is showing you simple attention. They're actually looking at you and showing from what you can see that they care about you. And that is then used to establish a relationship that then becomes sexual. And that's why it's predatory. It's not because the girl is wanting it too, and it matters. It's because they have used this girl's desire for affection and care and have then given that through sex, which is then very damaging because then that is what you establish as affection and care for a long time in their life. And that's why it's very difficult.
That was well said. I think...
Which has nothing to do with betrayal trauma, but...
No,
but it matters.
Right.
Whoa.
Kenzie?
Empty thoughts. Empty brain. What...
She's really good at that.
What just happened? What did you just say?
Annie did a great job of explaining why it's predatory. Not consensual. Yeah, why it's predatory.
I have no idea what I was going to say there, but so empty brain for that one.
One day it's going to come back, and we'll just put it right in there. Kayla will just edit it and shove it in.
I was going to say, and that's a really good plug right there to remind you that we've done episodes on grooming before. So if you're curious if you or someone you know has been groomed, we have also already talked about that. So go back.
We've also talked about infidelity and cheating in Annie's episode. So this kind of
it's a good lead in.
Yeah, it kind of all relates, but so
wait, so I was gonna say I think what would be interesting as well is to look at the differences in outcomes between people that are in long-term affairs versus people that are not. And I'm not saying, I don't feel like this is normal because he was in so many long-term affairs. He was in several very long. I feel like a lot of the times you're going to see someone that's cheated and found another romantic relation.
Fuck that best friend of hers.
Oh my God, yeah.
Had her own husband and like,
she's going to the wine bar and just like fucking him he's having a brothel at the wine bar, but like that's a different level of betrayal right there. Like people do cheat. Yeah. People do cheat and decide they love somebody else and still want to be with you, but see, that's another level of betrayal.
Like your husband and your best friend, the two people that you probably put all of your trust in for survival, emotional survival, and they fucking.
But I think that's so when they start off with this, and this is why, listeners, if you haven't watched it, I think I would really encourage you to watch it first, at least a part of it. She has all of the notes, the letters, pictures. She's very organized. I don't know that I ever would have kept that kind of stuff that early on in a relationship, but she has all of it. And so she's already shown like that's kind of her personality, is to track, to organize, to keep. And so I'm not surprised when they, yes, but not only that, but she's organized about it.
She really
like,
was.
She has held on to the stuff. So not just sentimental. She's very organized. That's how her brain works. And so I'm not surprised when it showed how much she was trying to organize all of the information, because I think the amount of it, I think if it were just a few, I can see how she probably could have let it go a little earlier and just dealt with, I don't know all the facts, but because there was so much to uncover, it's like, my God, how could I have not have known that this person existed? Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like, it's not just about the relationship. It's literally trying to establish, like, where the hell is my intuition that all of this could have been going on for my entire time of knowing him, and that I could not have known. So like, that's part of why it is a trauma, because when we talk about trauma, it's trauma because it shakes the very foundation of what you feel is safe, so that you no longer feel that that thing, whatever it is that traumatized you, is safe anymore. So there's that trigger. So that when we talk about a betrayal of any kind of relationship, you now do not have that foundation of the relationship. What you thought it was is different now, and it's changed, and it feels ruined. And so you're trying to establish just understanding.
That was really well said. I did find myself wondering, because there was such a long period of time where they weren't together, and because Facebook wasn't a big thing at that point in time when they were together.
Yeah.
I, as a therapist and as a person who has far too much curiosity, I'm very curious when this started for him. And he had to have been doing this with the ex-wife. Did she know? Did they get divorced for separate reasons? Like,
he said that he started after the divorce, but I don't trust literally anything that comes out of his mouth. So
to be that delinquent with your behaviors, to be that dirty and devious and pedophile and all of that, like that takes a long time to work into that. You're not just going to wake up one day and decide you're going to start fucking your students.
No, I would imagine though that
comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Is that the more you get away, the more you get away with it, the more that you do. It's why cheaters often do get caught in the end, because they start getting comfortable, and they think it's just like they just start getting more comfortable. It's as simple as that. It's like stealing a little bit of money at work, and then you start stealing more and more.
It's pushing boundaries that they find it a game.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I would assume that while he probably wasn't doing this amount of things then, I would assume he cheated several times before that.
Yeah.
Even if it was like one night flings and stuff, like you build up into this.
Right. So, if you or someone you love, if you believe that you have experienced betrayal trauma, or if you are experiencing betrayal trauma, you can work with your therapist. Even it is not a diagnosis, but you can work with your therapist to help unpack some of the effects of the betrayal. You can explore attachment with them, and you might be able to identify some underlying causes of whichever attachment that you have, attachment style, and you can work with them to start building more secure relationships. I hate
to be that person too, but there are some really good quizzes out there if you're curious what your attachment style is on Google.
Yeah.
And there's actually ones nowadays that there's a website. It's one of the first ones. If you click it, it has like attachment style workbooks that they've created for different attachment styles to work through that. If you're not,
it's very easy to find your attachment style nowadays.
If you're not ready for therapy, but you're curious.
Right. And most mental health experts recommend some form of couples therapy if you're trying to heal the relationship of infidelity. And it is important to work with your therapist on examining any feelings of self-blame, self-esteem, and working on healthy strategies for coping with difficult emotions.
I will say, so when I work with people with this, I usually do explain them from the trauma side, and then I talk about kind of the different types of cheating. And I think this is where another plug for Esther Perel. And it's funny because I still have where I was looking earlier for betrayal trauma or betrayal trauma therapy training. I still have all my browsers up where I was going to look at it tomorrow too.
Nice.
One of the things is Esther Perel, because you can actually pay for an account with training. Anyways, but she talks about the different types of cheaters essentially. And it kind of goes into like, if it happens once or twice, it might be like a specific person. It might be problems within the relationship. But typically if it happens more than once and it's kind of a pattern, then you're not looking at the relationship. You're looking at the individual who is doing the betraying. And I usually refer to that, and I never know if I'm getting this right, but I usually refer to it as like characterological cheating, because it's almost like domestic violence, where if it's a characterological abuser, that it's more about their personality. And so when I work with somebody like that, I generally do get to a point where we talk a lot more about leaving that relationship, because that is a lot to work with. And you don't typically see the change because that individual has to identify for themselves what is wrong with them,
right?
Not what's going on in the relationship. And that's often very difficult to do because they're often very, I guess, narcissistic about it.
I also think for some of those people, I know a client of mine, I'll take this as a reference between a client of mine who has a history of cheating, who's a sex addict, and my stepdad who has a history of cheating, who's a piece of shit. So we'll go somewhere in between there. If you are a sex
shout out
Mike. If you are a sex addict, shout out beep. If you are a sex addict, I feel like being in a romantic relationship like that I don't know if it's possible for some of them, because like my client, like he can't have sex. That causes a slew of further problems. Like he cannot be in that kind of relationship with somebody. So
that's why I think there's a cheater and then there's someone who cheats.
And
and I don't often use it in therapy, but like in my own personal idea, I think there's a cheater and I think there are people who cheat.
And there's in my worldview, I think there's people who cheat and people that are addicted to those behaviors. And that's why I bring up sex addicts, sure. Right? Like people that are addicted to cheating.
It's a real thing.
So yeah, but I agree. So like there's just so many different ways you can look at it. Like, are they genuinely just that careless with other people's emotions? Are they addicted to this behavior? Are they in love with somebody else? Like,
I'll be honest with you. Honestly, from a very pulled back perspective, I don't often think they even think about the other person. I don't think that it's that they're that callous. I just don't think they have the ability to connect on that level. Right. Like if you're really able to pull back and look at it from a very unbiased lens and not have any of like your personal like vendettas against it, you can really study that person in a very different way. And I think it's a lot like with pedophilia, we often want to like vilify them, but if you can just for a moment research them, it's very different. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I don't think that they often think about the other person's emotions at all.
Right.
Well said.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And, you know, they gave him a lot of labels and a lot of diagnoses that we don't know if those are actual diagnoses or not.
Sure.
But I mean, he does display symptoms of like narcissism and all sorts of DSM diagnoses. But unless you're his therapist or his psychologist or whatever, you're not going to know. And
I want to know,
even if he is honest. That's even if he's being honest with his therapist.
And he's not.
I want to know more about her perspective of like their fights and conflict. Like, cause she talked a lot about how good it was, but of course there had to be moments where it was difficult. And I think that's the part that I didn't get a lot of from that. And I'm like, okay, I wonder when it wasn't good, like when there was a tough moment, when they didn't connect, when they didn't have sex, but one of them wanted to, what was that like? Cause that to me is really where you see like narcissistic signs, not just they're hiding something, but if they're able to like talk things through and actually work through them.
I feel like I would be surprised if they had many fights. I feel like she could probably recount all the fights on her hand.
Bye,
Probably.
Kinsey.
Lemon fell on Copper, so
I wish we could keep
Talk
going.
about this forever.
no.
We're just gonna do attachment theory next week. I'll
Right.
find something. Or actually
Saturday. But yeah, I feel like
shit.
I wasn't necessarily I would be surprised if like he let the mask slip at all. That's what I pretty much call it when people are trying to deceive you. Is like
Sure.
let that mask slip at all with her. I feel like he was such a
He was in tune with how to manipulate
he
her.
was so on top of them having the perfect marriage because she was his cover, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if he loved her. Maybe he did, but she was there to protect his secrets. Like, no one's going to look like he looked less suspicious with her around, I think. But I didn't really necessarily think like any judgment towards him until the kid came in. Like,
I loved her. She seems great. Like, I kind of want to be her friend.
right. But like I just kind of assumed it was like him acting out because he wasn't getting what he needed sexually for a while until it turned into like the pedophilia stuff. And that's where like the judgment starts for me, where I'm just like,
by like the 30th other woman, it's like, okay, so this isn't about you getting it on a Friday night every now and again.
I'm not having any fun anymore. It's bad and I'm going to throw up.
But I'm telling you, like, for trigger warning for this show, because honestly, I know Kinsey and I we talked about it a little bit. If you have ever sexted a guy, I feel like you're going to get triggered. It's just, if you have, you're going to get triggered because it just mirrors so many ways of like the flippant part of the sexual relationships. It's a very hard watch. So if a guy has ever tried to come on to you and text, just be prepared to see him as a piece of shit for a while. Like you said, you were looking at DJ. I'm over here going, Kevin, let me go ahead and see your phone. Like, I'm going to go through your emails.
Right. I was like, does he have a
bro, what you hiding?
I was like, there's literally no way for him to have a secret life. But in my head, I was like, but does he though?
Yeah, I mean, this is where me and Kevin being codependent really makes me feel really good. If he could, honestly, kudos for finding the way to get past me.
Round of applause. Literally, you got past me. Good job.
So far, if Gus is living a double life, he's doing a really bad job because he made me open a Snapchat that was not intended for him, that was very explicit for him.
Oh no.
And then immediately texted me when his ex-girlfriend sent him a picture of her dog. So if he's trying
Gus is so scared of you.
If Gus is trying to live a secret life, he's doing a terrible fucking job because he keeps telling me all this shit.
But for the women who have thought the same thing, we are not saying that you could have known or should have known or anything.
No,
we just simply get lucky with the guys we have.
It really seemed like she didn't know, and that makes it worse.
It does.
Oh, for sure. I like it. I like the angle. I was really curious where we were going with it. It's funny just because I was like, after I saw the therapist talking, I was like, that's an interesting way of looking at it versus just from like infidelity, but looking at it from the very specific point of betrayal trauma. Right. And I do love some good training. So I very quickly went today and was like, let's Google that.
Now you're actually about to start a betrayal training.
I'm telling you, I've got 4 tabs open just ready to see which ones are actually like good trainings to do. So this is my tomorrow's work. It's just still there.
Great. Love that for you. Next week is Annie.
Woo!
Right? Yeah.
Attachment!
Annie's going to come with attachment or something else because she's ADHD and can't focus on one thing at once.
I was already also thinking about memory.
Oh, God. Right. Okay. So if you'd like to follow us on any platform, just click the follow button. If you want to send Kinsey Venmo money, Venmo Mentally Morbid Pod.
Yeah.
If you'd like to send us an email, mentallymorbidpod@gmail.com. And is that everything?
I don't know, but we hope you stay mental.
Stay morbid.
We'll see you Tuesday.